post this shit on Fox News. Yeah, I'm Gen Z, and yeah, I don't want to work. I'm fat, gay, and lazy, and I don't want to go to work.
Oh, Luke, why's your generation so angry? I don't know, you entitled boomer fuck. Could it be everything?
Why is everything a scam? I'm talking about cars, houses, plane tickets, hotels. It didn't used to be like this. There used to be a Better Business Bureau and people, organizations who were held accountable. Businesses used to be afraid of being sued a little bit more.
Gen Z's throwing in the towel. And when you take a look at some of the issues we're facing this year, it becomes pretty easy to see why. And in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at some of the biggest reasons why Gen Z and young people in general have lost hope in 2026. As always, if you like this kind of content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I post new videos like this every week. And with that out of the way, let's jump right into it.
Has anyone else kind of stopped applying to jobs? And not even because you don't want to work, but more so because it doesn't even feel like it leads anywhere anymore. It's like you apply, and you either never hear anything back, or the jobs that you do hear back from don't even realistically cover basic living. And at some point, it just kind of starts to feel like, what's the point of doing the same exact thing and expecting a different outcome? I don't really feel like that's us giving up. It's more so people just realizing that something isn't really working anymore.
So the job market's pretty rough in 2026. I think this is common knowledge. Everybody knows how hard it is to get a job now. And it's been so rough, in fact, that so many people are just giving up entirely. They don't even see a point in applying for jobs. There's a couple reasons for this. AI being one of the biggest reasons. It's either replacing jobs entirely or it's screening candidates so that most people aren't even able to get their resume in front of a human. Online job boards have become more and more scam ridden. Ghost jobs that aren't actually hiring, they're just data farming you, or they're completely scams outright. And a rising issue now with the job market is that the economy is so bad that people can't retire from their jobs, meaning that they're staying in their roles a lot longer, which means that there's no opportunity for new workers to enter the workforce. All these things combined together make it impossible to find a job in 2026, and Gen Z are giving up. They're just exiting the workforce. They're not even trying to apply for jobs anymore. Literally, the definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And if all you're getting is AI rejections, ghosting, or scammed every time you apply for a job, what's the point of continuously applying for a job? It's clearly not working and something needs to change. And I understand this. I used to be a recruiter, so I understand how bad the job market was. And this was like 2 or 3 years ago. It's only gotten worse since then. And then when you couple that with the fact that if you do get a job, most companies aren't paying a livable wage. You still have to get a second job, or you're still trying to figure out how to pay your bills because the job that you work 40 hours a week at is not paying you a livable wage. And when you take a look at the comments, I think job applications in 2026 are just data farming. Another comment, they just sell your personal info. I've gotten major uptick in spam calls ever since I've been applying, and no, none of those calls were the jobs that I applied at. I get so many spam calls in one day that are trying to get me to apply for a loan, apply for a remote job, an Amazon warehouse job. It's overwhelming the amount of scam calls and text messages that I'm receiving. And where do you think that they're getting my number from? Probably from the job boards that I've applied to in the past.
The job hunt is going nowhere, so you low-key retire. Yeah, I'm actually adjusting pretty well to this new reality. Like my mornings are wide open. My schedule is surprisingly flexible. My boss never emails me because I don't have one. At some point, it stops feeling like unemployment and starts feeling like a sabbatical that absolutely nobody approved. Every application ends with, "We'll keep your resume on file," which is corporate for, "We've already forgotten your name." So, I open my email every morning like it's Christmas. Nothing. Just 30% off socks. At this point, I'm not even looking for a dream job. I'd settle for a company that looks at my resume long enough to reject me personally instead of automatically.
And a point that's been gaining a lot of traction amongst Gen Z is that they don't want to work these jobs anyway. They're simply doing it because they need to exist. But they're applying for jobs that they really don't want. They become disillusioned with capitalism and with the way that America operates, and they no longer want to participate in it. They're not as ambitious as previous generations to build wealth or to build a future. They think it's cooked. It probably is cooked, like at this point. Even if they were able to get a job, they're spending 40 hours a week at an office, at a company that they don't enjoy, with people that they don't enjoy, doing a job that they don't enjoy, and they're miserable. And when they get out of work, they have no energy to do anything else because they're not getting paid a decent wage. They have no money to go enjoy themselves. This really starts to affect the mental health of a lot of these young people. Constantly being rejected, they're not gaining anything, they're not working toward anything, and they're becoming depressed. And some people will try to say Gen Z's lazy, Gen Z doesn't want to work. Gen Z doesn't want to work a full-time job that doesn't pay the bills, that makes them miserable. There's a difference between not wanting to work and and not wanting to work under certain conditions. And taking a look at this comment, is this an option? How are y'all paying rent? A lot of people aren't. They're moving back in with their parents because they simply cannot afford to live on their own, which is yet another reason why Gen Z is losing hope in 2026.
Why are apartments $1,800 a month? A one-bedroom apartment is almost $2,000 a month. My mom owned a condo for years. I remember growing up, she used to rent out her condo. It was a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom on a lake. Boat access for $1,100 a month. $1,100 a month. That's dirt.
That would easily be like $3,000-$4,000 now. On a lake with boat access, easily $3,000 to $4,000. And they would probably have that listing as a luxury.
People aren't having kids. Like, people aren't getting married. It's like the most single generation ever because we can't afford anything. We can't afford to even like be in a relationship because we're still living at home with our parents because we can't afford to live on our own. And if we do, we're not saving, we're going in debt. We don't have any extra money for anything. It's like you spend all your money towards your living expenses and then you don't have any money to do anything. Like, what is happening?
Having somewhere to live is such a basic human need, and we have commoditized the hell out of that in 2026. It is so expensive to get your own place. If you're unable to afford your own place and you have to stay with your parents for a longer period of time, that starts to affect your life more and more the older that you get. I still live at home, and it's not because I want to. It's because New Jersey, the state that I live in, is one of the most expensive states to live in, especially on your own. So many of my friends still live at home, and it's for one reason only, because it costs way too much money to try to get your own place. The friends that I do know that are living on their own, they're struggling. They're struggling to live a healthy and full life. And when you get older, not having your own place really starts to affect other aspects of your life. Like she said, dating. Trying to date somebody when you live at home with your parents sucks. Trying to get intimate with a partner when your parents are down the hall, that doesn't sound sexy to me. The issue is that the cost of living in 2026 is through the roof. And when you couple that with the fact that jobs are hard to come by, and even when you do have a job, they're not paying you enough, concepts like socialism has started to gain a lot of traction amongst Gen Z. You hear people say, well, socialism doesn't work. Bro, capitalism isn't working. We see that in front of our faces. Capitalism clearly isn't working. It's failing the youth. What else we got? We're willing to try anything else because this is not working.
Oh, Luke, why's your generation so angry? I don't know, you entitled boomer fuck. Could it be everything? We were told that if you go to school and you work real hard and you get a nice degree and you obey the laws, you'll get a nice job and then things in life will pretty well work out for you. Imagine our surprise at finding out that you rat motherfucker lied.
And it's one of the most successful lies in recent modern history. We have so many educated, unemployed people, and we have even more graduating year after year that are unable to find jobs because the job market is so terrible. It's actually insane.
We might end up on the hook for $1 billion in taxes to pay for a goddamn ballroom, while half of us will never own a home.
The housing market is a disaster, like not just renting, but also trying to own a home. It's never been more expensive. It's never been more impossible. American dream, which involves purchasing a house, having a job that pays for that house, being able to take a vacation, and then retire comfortably with a family that loves you, is disappearing.
We watched Jeff Bezos spend $10 million to sponsor the Met Gala, while our friends that work at Amazon because there's no other jobs have to piss in bottles because there's no time for a bathroom break. We watch Elon Musk make $10,000 a second. I did the math, Cletus, while being told that $7.75 an hour in minimum wage is enough, and we just need to stop buying those $10 coffees. $7.75 an hour doesn't even buy the gas to get to work because you boomer pricks elected a president that starts a war, so minimum wage is worth about as much as shitting in our hands and clapping. Those degrees that you pushed us to get aren't deemed professional by this administration, so the only loans you can get to afford to go to school are as predatory as the president that you motherfuckers elected. And then once you got that goddamn degree, the new grad jobs want 3 to 5 years of work experience. And you wonder why we're mad. Go sit on a cactus and choke on a football.
It's really the culmination of all these things put together at the same time that are making Gen Z feel so hopeless and so angry at the same time. Feels like we're going through so many once in a lifetime or generational events that it's kind of hard to keep count. Every time you look at the news or you turn on some kind of news station, it lets you know how the economy is going to get even tighter and how your money is stretching even less. And that has been the common theme since 2020, since the COVID pandemic, where prices skyrocketed and then never seemed to come back down down. And when you take a look at the comments, our life is a subscription. 1,000%. Everything is a subscription model now. Everything. Entertainment is a subscription. Transportation is a subscription. Rent is literally a subscription to having a roof over your head month to month. Nobody owns anything anymore. This comment's crazy. $7.75 for 8 hours is $62 an hour. That's one tank of gas. One. That's not even a tank of gas for me. I spent $75 on a tank of gas the other day. So if I was making $7.75 an hour, the federal minimum wage, I would not be able to fill up my tank. That's diabolical. And this gas problem was completely avoidable, by the way. I just wanted to say. This war that caused the oil to skyrocket, completely avoidable, by the way.
It's July the 22nd, and we are entering the find out phase because the worst case scenario has just happened in Iran and the Middle East and Russia. I hate making these kind of videos. I really do. Because there's a lot more going on than people are even aware of. Anyway, a second tanker was struck in the Red Sea, a Saudi tanker, another Saudi tanker. That means the Bab el-Mandeb Strait is effectively closed, the Strait of Hormuz is closed, and if that wasn't bad enough, because listen, that's a total nightmare scenario, Russia just had to close their largest export facility in the entire country, the Novorossiysk port. Over 2 million barrels of oil a day comes out of there. To put this in perspective, as far as amount of oil off the market, this is twice as bad as it was during the worst part of the war a couple of months ago. This is twice as bad.
And y'all remember how bad those gas prices were months ago, right? When this first happened. This is going to get nasty really quickly. Like I said, $75 to fill up my tank the other day. Just saying.
Twice as much oil is off the market. This is that perfect storm nightmare scenario that all of those crazy predictions can be born from. The only question now is, can it be sustained? If this is sustained, it's going to be really bad. I'm being straight up with you. It's going to be really bad. And I can't give you a timeline on how long this must be sustained for things to get that bad, but I can tell you it's not that long. This is also going to be the part where Trump calls Zelensky and asks him to lay off a little bit. What do you think Zelensky's going to say? Even just a couple of weeks of this is really bad. So we'll just see what happens together, I guess.
As if people weren't already stretched enough for their dollar as it goes. Now it's going to get even worse because one of the most essential things in everybody's life, especially in America, fuel for their cars, is skyrocketing yet again. And it's going to be even worse than the first time it happened this year. Cooked. And as a young person, you look at this and you're like, bro, I couldn't even afford gas in the first place to get to work. Now I really can't afford gas. What the hell am I supposed to do? I might as well quit my job. I might as well quit my job because I'm working at this point just to get to the job, to do the work, to pay for the gas, to get to work, to do the job. I can't even afford my own apartment. I can't afford food. Forget vacation. None of that is possible at this point. I'm just going to quit. I'm just going to give up. I don't want to deal with this anymore. Hard to ignore, and it's hard not to lose hope. Our infrastructure relies heavily on personal vehicles and fueling those personal vehicles with gas. The average person is screwed.
Y'all got to understand that a lot of the content you see today about the economy is accurate. And I think the reason that people are having so much trouble accepting what's actually happening is because of the overload. Now, obviously, like the government, they're just lying to you, right? Government and media, they're all lying. But I think when it comes to the content, I think people are just seeing so much stuff that they don't even know what's real or not. Like, you'll see Mr. Global talk about the oil crisis, and then you'll scroll to the next post, and you're going to see me talk about the AI bubble. And then you'll scroll to another post, and you're going to see, like, preppers talking about the food shortages. You're going to see all this, and you're going to go, like, there's no way this is this bad. It can't be all of it. Yeah, but the thing is, it is all of it. It is that bad.
And when you have information overload like this, so many people just try to tune it out and ignore it. Ignoring the problem is not going to fix it. It's only going to exacerbate it and make it worse, actually. You have to be informed. But the catch-22 is the more informed you are, the more depressed you become. And this is why Gen Z is losing hope. They're getting so much information through TikTok, Facebook, Instagram daily that they're so informed on what's happening and they feel so powerless to do anything against it that they're just giving up. There's nothing I can do to help this. It is what it is, and I'm just going to have to deal with it.
The energy crisis is as bad as Mr. Global says. If anything, it's worse because he likes to kind of undersell it. And I think it's mostly because he's like an optimist and he thinks that deal can actually be struck, which I don't think any deal can be struck because of the small country. And then when I talk about the AI bubble and the consumer credit bubble, that's as bad as I'd make it out to be also. And again, it's probably worse because I don't want to make people cry. and then subsequently be called a fearmonger in the comments, even though that happens anyway.
Fear mongering can be an issue amongst some content creators that deliver news. However, it's not fear mongering if you're just giving the truth. If you're just stating what the facts are, I'm sorry that you don't like the facts and that they frighten you, but they should frighten you because this is scary shit. And somebody needs to do something about it, or it's going to keep happening and it's going to keep getting worse. That's not fear mongering. That's just the truth.
Now, the food shortages are almost as bad as the preppers make it out to be. They just tend to take it a little far because that's just what they do. But this time, they're definitely not wrong. Like, there's going to be shortages. It might not be absolute doomsday like some of them like to make it out to be, but, it's going to get rough. Like I said this in my last video, but this is like a culmination of the oil embargo, the dot-com bubble, the Great Recession, and there's even a housing crisis in there too. So you got to understand, it is as bad as people make it out to be, all right? Then another thing that's important to understand is that this is not the same as 2022. A lot of people like to say, oh, nothing ever happens. People have been calling this and that since 2022. You have to understand this is a different situation now. Back then in 2022, when people were talking about AI bubble or they're talking about the consumer economy, you understand they weren't calling a crash. They were just saying, hey, that's a problem. The AI thing, that's a circular financing scheme and that's a problem. And then they're looking at the consumer and they're looking at inflation and they're looking at the credit bubble and they're like, hey, this is a problem here. Now the tone is different because of the war and because of the strait closure. This is an imminent problem now. This is not like back then where it was like, hey, this is a problem and it'll eventually get pretty bad. No, we're past the breaking point. Oil is still stuck. The helium and LNG that's needed for the AI data centers, those factories are still blown up. And the fertilizer still didn't get planted, right? And the prices are still high. So the next one is going to be even higher than the last one. And obviously, the strait that all of this needs to transit through, it's still closed. I don't know. It's still closed. Dude, this was supposed to be open in 3 weeks. It's been months, many months. And somehow people are looking at prices, inflation, all the stuff. They're looking at everything just skyrocket. And they're going, oh, it can't get any worse than this, right? Dude, it's literally just getting started because everything's still closed. The Mandeb is about to close next. So it is as bad as people make it out to be, if not worse. This is why I, as a stock market person, have been saying you should garden, you should learn to fish, you should learn to be kind of self-sustainable or go knock on some doors and get together with your community. You know what I mean?
And this comment's interesting. I have a law degree, an MBA in finance and economics, and a master's in military defense strategy. Let me keep it simple. We are cooked, chat. This is a very educated person saying, yeah, basically from my perspective and the way that I see things, we're cooked. There's no other way to describe it other than cooked. We are cooked. The whole thing feels like Don't Look Up, the movie. No one wants to recognize the reality of the situation that we're living through. In the movie Don't Look Up, there's a meteor that's heading straight for Earth that scientists are trying to urge everybody is going to destroy the entire planet. Politicians and everybody alike are basically ignoring it. They're not taking it seriously and they're just laissez-faire about the entire situation. And that's exactly what this feels like. It feels like we're seeing the writing on the wall. Everybody keeps saying how bad it is and how we're getting closer and closer to the point. Now that point's here, people are just ignoring it still. It's insane. And that last point that he made about learning how to fish or learning how to grow your own crops, not being so dependent on grocery stores for getting your food is so important because the quality of food and produce at these grocery stores is only getting worse in 2026.
Here's why everything you know about the food system is actually wrong. I am a regenerative farmer in Oklahoma. We raise 5 species of livestock over 300 acres, and I want to tell you a little bit about food system and why you need to be careful what you're buying. Over the years, the food system has kind of been rattled, whether that's through COVID or egg shortage last year, and now we're getting diarrhea from lettuce, and everyone's starting to figure out that all this lettuce that's coming from Taco Bell is the same lettuce at Walmart, which is the same lettuce at Whole Foods, just all packaged different. It's all Taylor Farms or whatever.
So if you guys weren't aware, I talked about this in my last video. There's an outbreak of a parasite in produce, specifically lettuce, from Taylor Farms called Cyclospora. And anybody that consumes this produce, this lettuce, gets intense diarrhea. Literally, lettuce isn't even safe to eat right now. And it's everywhere. It's Taco Bell, it's Walmart, because all these places get their lettuce from the same place, Taylor Farms. It's ridiculous.
It's the same thing with chicken. People are slowly figuring out that Whole Foods chicken is the same as Walmart chicken, which is just Tyson chicken. It's just repackaged under various different brands.
This is diabolical because Whole Foods is more expensive than any of these other grocery stores. And I shop there solely because you get better quality food at Whole Foods. It's the same chicken from Walmart. Why am I spending more money at Whole Foods then? That doesn't make any sense. Like Tyson chicken. And it's the same at like Chick-fil-A, any of these other suppliers. It's like with restaurants and Cisco. All these places are getting their chicken from the same place. If there's an outbreak in one of these places, everywhere else that gets supplied from that same place, screwed.
Cream cheese is the same way. There's like one huge cream cheese factory in this country that supplies 90% of the cream cheese to all the different brands so that you have a choice at the grocery store. The truth is that we as Americans don't understand the scale of the food system. I remember a couple years ago when Tyson Foods walked back their no antibiotics ever pledge and just said, hey, that wasn't sustainable. We're not going to do that anymore. So they walked that back and said, all right, hey, we're not going to do our no antibiotics ever thing. We're going to only do antibiotics that are not negatively affecting humans or something. I can't remember the verbiage. And then within a few weeks, Chick-fil-A comes out and walks back their no antibiotics ever claim.
And why do you think that is? I wonder.
And then everybody's up in arms. It's like when Tyson Foods did it, people were like, oh, wow, that's crazy. Then Chick-fil-A did it. They walked their claim back. And you go to their Instagram when they did this, and it's just blowing up with these comments that are like, no, Chick-fil-A, please don't put antibiotics in your chickens. We don't want that. That's the reason I bring my family, right? You get it. What people weren't putting together was that Tyson walked back, and so Chick-fil-A had to walk back. And then finally, you see some people that are like, wait a minute, does Chick-fil-A just buy chicken from Tyson? Yes. All of the brands do. And I'm going to say all I'm painting with a broad brush here, so bear with me, but all of the brands do this, right? So if it's a health food brand or whatever, like any brand out there is going to be tempted when they get big enough to start finding a source for chicken or lettuce or beef or whatever that is cheaper and more readily available than what they're currently sourcing. So the point of this video is to remind you, in light of this lettuce deal that we were just dealing with, if you're sourcing from a huge national grocery chain, I don't care what grocery chain it is, if it's a huge national grocery chain, you have to understand that almost everything is the same across all of the grocery chains. All the food may be different labels. You may have 6 different labels of chicken at your local grocery store, and they just buy that chicken in from Tyson or Purdue or whatever, one of the big companies. They buy that chicken in, slap their own label on it, and they call it Nature's Best or Friendly Happy Farmer something. And they package it in brown and green, and you buy it. And you buy it for 60% more than you would pay for, run-of-the-mill chicken. I mean,
this is actually crazy to hear because so many of these brands try to make it seem like their stuff is the healthiest, like the best brand, and they're all getting it from the same place. It's just a lie to trick the consumer at the end of the day. Like I said, it got me because prior to this video, I had no idea that Whole Foods chicken, organic chicken, was the same as Walmart's organic chicken. I'd be going to Walmart and spending less if I knew that they was the same shit. Another important point that he brings up here. Companies nowadays will take any opportunity that they can to cut corners and reduce their costs and charge the maximum amount for their product. They will cut corners on safety regulations, quality checking of the product, just to make their operating costs as cheap as they can so that they can charge the most amount of money to the consumer as they can. And this has become a practice that is sick, and it's honestly dangerous because now things like cyclospora are more common, and they're happening because of the lack of regulation and the aggressive cutback on spending for quality check. I mean, there's a direct correlation between all these things, and you see this as a Gen Zer, and you're like, any opportunity that these companies get to screw us over and to charge us more and to cut corners, they're taking it. All the information you get online is that the food's bad for you, it's poisonous, like it's going to give you cancer. Don't buy from here, don't buy from here, don't buy from here. But all these places are sourcing from the same place, so that means all the food is exactly the same. And all of these problems put together will have you feeling like everything is a scam.
Hey, quick question. Why do I have to go through Donner Party levels of trials and tribulations, tribs and tries, to not be scammed out of anything? Anywhere from a bagged salad to a haircut to a plane ticket to a car, to a house, to a hotel, to an engagement ring? Why do I need God tier levels of background and research and industry knowledge and a friend of a friend of a friend whose friend also used to be a jeweler and they know a guy? Why do I need to do that just to buy something that doesn't suck? And I'm not just talking about jewelry. The only reason why what instigated this was I just watched a 4-minute, 48-second video of a jeweler, right? Explaining to people how to spot when extremely popular jewelers, famous jewelers, not, oh, well, you bought it from Etsy, so what can you do? No, actual, real, professional jewelers that are popular, thousands of followers, not some homegrown small business, self-employed, come with me to start a jeweler shop. No, jewelers that are scamming people out of custom engagement rings. Oh, they're drop shipping these rings. They're drop shipping engagement rings and telling people they're custom. Why is everything a scam? And I'm not just talking about rings. I'm talking about cars, houses, plane tickets. You didn't know you had to do 4 hours of research to get a haircut that wasn't a fucking ripoff? No, I didn't know that. I wasn't aware of that because it didn't used to be like this. There used to be a Better Business Bureau and people, organizations who were held accountable. Businesses used to be afraid of being sued a little bit more because fraudulent misrepresentation is a claim you could sue them for, class actions, blah, blah, blah. But it wasn't just that. It wasn't just like, oh, the only thing that we have to protect us is lawsuits.
This is an appropriate level of outrage, by the way. I would say she even underplayed it because this is not an exaggeration. Everything is a scam. Everybody is trying to cut corners. Everybody is trying to get a quick buck because the economy sucks. As simple as that. Like, that's what it boils down to at the end of the day. But this is true. Everything requires so much research to make sure that you're getting a quality product, to make sure that you're not getting scammed, you're not getting ripped off, you can't find it somewhere cheaper for a better product. It's ridiculous. It's become absolutely ridiculous. You have to do hours of research now to make sure that what you're buying is what it says it is. And it's not some lie or some elaborate plan to get you to purchase a subpar product. And it's driving a lot of us crazy and making a lot of us lose hope in the future. Because if it's like this now, it's only going to get worse.
Post this shit on Fox News. Yeah, I'm Gen Z and yeah, I don't want to work. I'm fat, gay, and lazy and I don't want to go to work. You.
This is legitimately what the media will tell you Gen Z is actually like. This is clearly sarcastic, but this is what you guys want to believe because we simply don't want to partake in the scam that is the U.S. economy now. Then go ahead, bro. You could try to paint us in whatever light you want to. At the end of the day, that doesn't change the facts. And the facts are things need to change because this is fucking ridiculous. And that is all I've got for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Share the video with someone that you think might enjoy it. And let me know in the comments down below if you're losing hope as Gen Z in 2026. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.